There's nothing more important than ADP data. No, not because I want you to draft off the highest ranked player. That's called computer drafting or auto drafting. I'm talking about manipulating ADP data, knowing it like the back of your hand, knowing how to kick a player down the stream a little bit and get him in the third round instead of round 2, to know that Bucky's going into 2-3 turn, to know that Breece Hall and Kyron are going in round 3. They're going in round 3, and that allows you to dominate and execute and draft the best player available at every single pick. You are on the clock. You smash every single draft slot that you have. We're going to go over the top ADP steals inside the top 40 overall. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. I love these shows, and we're going to do a regular ADP series. And in fact, on my YouTube channel, on the main page, you'll see a new category that will be ADP series, where I just do an ADP show. It might be ADP avoids, it might be top 10 ADP data, it might be ADP deep sleepers, it might be tight ends, it might be a certain position, but I'm going to have a new series. We'll do it weekly. ADP data videos. What to expect, what trends to look out for. Jamar Chase, number 1, not a value, not a bad deal at all. He'll earn that. Barkley, same thing. Bijan, I mean, you're taking him at his ceiling, but he can earn it. Gibbs, kind of like the value a little bit. You start getting into a territory once you're at 4, 5, 6, where if you get the number 1 overall player, it is a value. But we're going to keep moving on down until we get to Ceedee Lamb at number 7 overall. This is the 7th ranked player, yet he could be the number 1. He could be the number 1 overall player in fantasy football 2025. And he certainly has the capability of being the number 1 wide receiver. I love this value. This is about as low as you're going to find him, I think. The ambiguity around Dak and him being fully healthy, and what do the Dallas Cowboys do in the NFL draft? They have the number 12 overall pick. Do they take Ashton Genty? Do they take Ted McMillan? It's tough to know what the reaction will be by people when they do address that draft slot 12 overall and it ends up being an offensive piece. I think his value can only climb. I don't think he'll stay at 7 overall for very long. If Stafford ends up getting traded, if there's some ambiguity there for months on end because they're trying to work out a long-term deal, Stafford wants a long-term deal, there's a good chance that we're sitting here and we're just continuously worried about the Puka Nacua ADP at 6.8, and we say, okay, let's move Ceedee Lamb above him. I think, we'll get to him in a second, but Nabers is going to be in this Puka and Ceedee Lamb territory eventually. We'll get to that in a minute. But Ceedee Lamb, to me, when I look at 1 through 7, this is the first time I stop and I go, crap, this is probably the best value I've seen on the board yet. And while it doesn't seem like you can find gems inside the top 10, you can. Because if you get to a player like Lamb at 7 overall and at wide receiver 4, and you literally believe this could be the number 1 overall player, you're talking about someone getting slept on. Yeah, there are such things as sleepers in the top 10 and the top 15 and the top 20. If people say that there aren't, oh my God, can you believe Smitty? He's using the word sleeper with a player inside the top 10. Of course I am. I've been doing this longer than some of you have been out of diapers. And some of you weren't even born yet. Your parents didn't even know that they wanted to make you. And I've been using descriptive words next to the term sleeper for over 2 decades in the fantasy industry professionally. And I'm going to continue to do it. And I just did it.
Ceedee Lamb is being slept on.
Inside the top 10, he shouldn't be. He should be going 1, 2, 3, or 4. And I'm calling him a first-round sleeper, and there's nothing you can do about it. I think Lamb is going to get 12 to 15 touchdowns. Let's call it 14. I think Lamb's going to have 110-plus receptions. I think Lamb's going to have 1,300-plus yards. I think Lamb is going to easily walk into top 2, 3, 4, 5 wide receiver value and has the capability of more ceiling than that safe estimate I just gave you. Dak Prescott's going to be healthy. Dak Prescott's going to be on a mission. The Dallas Cowboys, although they're a joke in terms of advancing through the playoffs, they can make the playoffs. They're going to have a phenomenal regular season, which is all that matters in fantasy football. And people are tied up on the Dallas Cowboys this, the Dallas Cowboys that. They're not very good, Smitty. I don't know what you're talking about. Dallas Cowboys know how to ball. They know how to throw the football down the field, and I believe they do draft Ashton Genty or a player of significance, which will keep defenses honest against Ceedee Lamb. I'm very, very confident that Lamb Chops is going to have quite the season.
You've just been Smitty.
Everything I just said about Lamb, I'm going to say even more aggressively about Malik Nabers. Now, we've talked about these two guys' ADP for a while now, and just because we've already addressed it doesn't mean I'm not going to hammer home the point and beat a dead horse when the ADP's not changing. The video I made on this very topic about these two players, it's not stale or old. This is new. This is a continuous ignoring the fact that these guys have top 1 to 2, 1 to 3 overall wide receiver value, 1 to 5 overall value. For some reason, people are not reacting to the ADP. They don't see the value in Lamb and Nabers, at least right now. Nabers has, again, the capability of being a 1 to 3 wide receiver, but dare I say, he's kind of my dark horse. I'm not drafting him here. My expectation is extremely above the 11 overall, but I'm not telling anybody. I'm taking advantage of this. No one's asking you to go draft Nabers higher than 11. Nobody, especially not me. But quietly, my dark horse top 1 to 2 overall player is Malik Nabers, and I'm getting him at 11. Let's just say that's more than Smitty approved. I think he could have 110 receptions, call it 1,400 yards, and 12 to 14 touchdowns. And let me tell you something before you finish typing Tom, Angry Angus. Smitty, you don't even know who his quarterback is. This is all if he doesn't even have the most elite quarterback. If this guy gets Stafford in a trade, he's scoring 18 touchdowns. Everything I told you was assuming that maybe he gets a Cousins, or maybe he gets Darnold. Maybe he gets Justin Fields. Then he's got 15 touchdowns. My worst case scenario is 110 receptions, 1,300. Let's dumb it down. 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns. That's in a disappointing year where he doesn't get the quarterback help that we want him to get. If he gets the quarterback help, every league, well, first of all, his ADP is going to climb to like 4 or 5 overall. Mark my words. If he gets Justin Fields, or he gets Cam Ward or Shadur or whatever, he's going up 4 or 5 draft slots, no doubt about it. So scoop him up in best ball while you can before the data changes. That's the whole point of these ADP shows. I'm not doing this for my health. I'm doing this so you guys can dominate early on in best ball. Promo code Smitty, link in description, and take full advantage of what we're talking about here. The moment he gets his quarterback, it's game over. Scoop him up, do it live, get him at 11, win every league you can where you can get him at value 11 overall.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Loving me some H-Han at 12, the 12-13 turn. Loving the Genty 14-15 overall territory.
The Fantasy Football Show.